So thank you for having me again, Paula and Georg. This is always a pleasure to come out here. Great conference, great to see you all here, and thanks for coming to the session. Really means a lot to me that you're all here. What I want to do today is, take about 45 minutes or 50 minutes or so to talk to you a little bit about storytelling, what that means, how we can use visual storytelling, how we can do content marketing, all those buzzwords that you hear all the time. And what this means and how you can design a story and so on. But before I start, I want to see just who is here in the room. So just by a show of hands, who in here is working in marketing? A lot of marketing people. Okay, communications people. Okay, some IT, something like this. Okay, yeah. Georg is everything, can do everything. Okay. Design, anything like this. Okay, so a good mix, perfect. Really, the message here for you, right in the beginning, is no matter what you do, no matter who you are, no matter what your profession is, if you really want to make an impact, if you really want to make money, you have to go into storytelling. Because in case you haven't heard, we're all human beings, and that's what human beings like. We like stories. When we were small kids, we would listen to stories. This is something that sticks. So this is something we have to talk about today, and I think it's something that we all should do. Who here in this room has been doing marketing or communications for more than 10 years? Okay, some. More than 5 years? Okay, so everybody knows what all this is about. I want to start out by telling you a little bit what has changed in the last year. This was the talk I gave here at this conference last year, but I want to spend 5 minutes or so to talk to you about how everything has changed. Because we come from a time when, remember those times when you were dialing up to the internet, you had to plug in your computer into the wall, you had to dial in, it was making the funny sounds, and it took forever for you to dial in. This was the time when you needed to wait like 5 minutes for a photo to load. Image was loading like this. You could only see the head of a person, and you had to wait. Right? We're coming from those times, and those times are times when we had time to wait because there was not so much content on the internet. If you were a brand, you had a decent website, an average website, you were already winning because you were one of the few people who were actually on the internet. But those times have changed. We are now looking at times when we will have much more content. Here's a study for you. In the next 5 years, we will have enough content to fill 5 to 10 internets of what we have today. Just think about this. The internet we have today, in the next 5 years, we're going to have enough content to fill 5 to 10 internets. And 75% of all this content will be user-generated. So not by brands, not by big media publishing houses. This is all coming from the people. This is where your selfies go. This is where your cat videos go. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, you're laughing, but if you're a brand, if you're a company, and if you do corporate communications, if you do marketing, this is what you are competing with. All the cat photos or, my friends at the beach having a beer, that kind of stuff. You're competing with that. So this is going to change rapidly. Here's another study that I find very, very interesting. At the end of last year, an average American was consuming 15.5 hours of content per day. Okay, that first of all sounds like a big number, but now think about this. You have 24 hours in a day, take away 15.5. Consuming information here means writing emails, reading emails, listening to the radio, all these things, because we come from a time where that has always gone up. If you look at the history since the 1900s, and we had books, then we had radio, TV, and so on, the content consumption has always gone up. And we are now at the time when just simply by introducing mobile devices like the phones or the iPads that we all have, our content consumption has gone up 2 hours per day simply by having those devices because it's easy. We can access information no matter where we are, no matter what time. So now if you do the math, 24 minus 15.5, then you gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you gotta brush your teeth and go take a shower, something like this. If you do the math, there is not much time left. So our our colleagues from the US call this content shock. The content shock is a model by Mark Schaefer that if you don't know this guy, follow him. There's great stuff on content. What he's saying is there is too much information and too little time to consume all this information. So what does that mean for us? For us, that means the most important resource that we have on the internet is attention. This is very important when we talk about content today. Content is great, but content is not the ultimate thing. Content is your starting point of everything. If you don't have good content, you can already go home because you're going to lose anyways. But we also have to consider other things. Content is great, but there are other things, and this is what we want to talk about today. So this is exactly when I talk to a lot of content marketers, a lot of times we talk about optimizing the content. And I want to tell you my story. When I started doing social media some years ago in Germany, I was following all those, I was reading on the internet, I was finding all those great articles, 10 things you have to do for kick-ass content. And I was following all those rules. I was putting numbers in headlines. I was using 52 characters because that's the ideal thing that you should be doing. But for me, it was not working. People were still not interested because I was missing an important point of all this, and this is what I want to talk to you about today. This is one of the formulas, because everybody always asks for a formula, that I want to discuss with you today, and this is my suggestion on how we can do that. Content is great. We talked about this. You need good content. That's the starting point, not the finish line. That's the starting point of everything. But then you also need to understand what is the context of where you communicate, about how you do marketing. Context in this case means you have to understand if you are marketing on Instagram, if you're marketing on Snapchat, you need to know who are the people who are on Snapchat? Why are they on Snapchat? What are they doing there? What are they looking to find? And you have to understand that maybe this is not what you're trying to do. So one of the big problems is many people market to people who don't care because you want to push out your message. This is the first thing, and the second thing that we also need to talk about is community. It's probably the most important thing about social media. That's why it's called social media. Not sales media, not generate leads media, it's social media. Yeah? So start being social. And one more thing that's very important is note that this is a formula and that it is an equation. Now if you go back to remember your times in school when you were doing math, an equation means if you have 9 times 7 times 0 is 0. And this is how this works as well. So you can have great content, great context, no community, 0. So you need all those things to have successful content marketing to tell successful stories. So what I want to do is go into all those three things and give you some examples. Not all this sounds very theoretic, like this is what you should be doing, but how do you actually do it? So let's go in and have a look at all those things. Give you some examples, and then maybe in a Q&A we can get to some of your questions or some of your comments. I want to start out with a very great quote that is probably the most important thing of this presentation today. This was said by Rebecca Lieb, and she said, build content around a brand, not about it. So that sounds great, but what it means is it's never about you. It's not about you and your brand, what you want to say, how great you are. It's never about you. It's always about your customer. It's always about the person out there. You have to fight to be relevant. We said, main thing that's out there on the internet is user attention. And user attention you get by being relevant and not by saying, hey, look at me, I'm the greatest. So I brought to you a model that I want to suggest to you on how to do storytelling. I brought some examples, some videos on where I see good content, good storytelling, and they all have, here we are again with my 5 things you need to know about, but this is easier to see. So for a good story, you always need a reason for the story to be told. This is what I call meaningful brands. So you have to understand what is the meaning of your brand. Why does your brand exist? The reason why your brand exists is not to sell products. So what is it? We'll look into this in a second, how to find out what your brand stands for. So also here, the question is, what is the reason for the story to be told? Number 2, every story needs a main character, a hero. Important, we're talking about one main character, because you always identify yourself with one person and never with a group. So don't talk about target groups. Don't speak like, oh, I'm talking to my target group. No, you're talking to individual people, and you have different people on your channels. So start with one character. Every story starts with a conflict. This may make sense, but it is for brands normally the hardest thing to do. Because I don't know your brands, but at least where I work, we don't have problems. We don't have challenges. We only have solutions, right? So this is something that where you have to step back as a brand and talk about the conflict that one of your customers has, that one person in the world has, and how you can solve this. But it's not about you, it's about the customer. Number 4, every story gains attention. We just talked about this. The most important thing is attention. You get this by appealing to certain emotions. We'll also look into this. Some basic emotions. Why do you share content? What do you identify with? And so on. And lastly, that what we probably focus on most, you need viral power. So this means you have to spread your message, because your content itself is not worth anything. You can have the greatest content. If you invest 1 million pesos into a great video, but nobody sees your video, you have lost 1 million pesos. So you need to make sure your video spread, people, the relevant people see your video, so that you can have what we're always looking for, an ROI. So with this 5-step model, now let's look into the different things and what all this means. This is a model that I want to suggest to you, which can help you find out how to communicate right. I don't know who of you knows Simon Sinek. Anyone know Simon Sinek and the Golden Circle of Communications? Okay, I'll explain it to you real quick. So Simon Sinek that's a great TED Talk. So after you get home tonight, make sure you watch that TED Talk. Simon Sinek explains how we should communicate as companies, and whoever communicates should communicate according to this model. He says most brands know exactly what they do. So for example, I have this product, this is what I sell. Most brands also know how they do this. How does my product work? So I have this product, it's great, this is how it works. We have an algorithm and it works like this. But not so many people explain in their communication why they do all this. So this is the most important thing. Remember, we are here talking about the meaningful brand. What's the why of your brand? Why do you do all this? And I want to give you an example of, that's an old commercial that I saw from Apple when they launched the iPad for Christmas some years ago. And what they did is they said, the storyline was kind of something like this. We believe that for Christmas, everybody should be with their loved ones, no matter where you are in the world. And it should be easy for you. You should just press one button and you're in the midst of your family for Christmas, unwrapping the presents, even if you live, 10,000 kilometers away. And for this, we have the iPad. So what you see in this example is how you communicate, how you always start with a why and communicate from the inside out, rather than how most brands do it, communicate about what do we have to sell and how does it work. And now please buy. So this is an important thing that we will get to always and again as something that always helps when you start writing a press release, a tweet, whatever you write, think about the why. What is in it for me as a user? Now I want to go into some examples, and we all have certain emotions that are very strong, that we all identify with, and everyone has some of them very strong. Others have others that are very important for them, and those are love and connection. So that means nobody wants to be lonely. You all want to be with a group of people. You want to be with a family. You want to have love. All these things. You want to belong somewhere. Second thing, security and stability. That's the the comfort zone that we all have, where we feel safe, where we know what's happening. And then if something new comes, we're a little timid and don't really know. This is why we have security and stability as one of the values. Then independence and freedom. I don't want to have somebody who tells me what to do. I want to do things the way I want to do them. And then lastly, self-fulfillment and live your dream. We all have this dream, or we see somebody and we say, oh, I want to be like this guy. Or one day I would like to live his life. This is the idea of live your dream. And you can see this very well also in movies, in Hollywood movies, for example. And this is a good model, I think, to find out what is the why of why your brand exists. This can help us with this. So number one, anybody know this movie, Avatar? Yeah, Avatar is a great movie. And yes, it's about those blue guys here fighting the evil humans. But in the end, it's about love and connection. Why? Well, because Jack Scully, who's the main character, here's your main hero. He's an ex-Marine, he's an ex-military, but he is not needed anymore because he's paralyzed. So he lost the connection to his group. And then he goes to Pandora and joins with, the blue guys here. And here is his group again. So he reconnects to the people, and he finds his place where he belongs. And you can see this, I don't know who has seen the movie. In the end, there's this great scene where they're all sitting around the tree of life, or whatever it's called, and they literally connect to the tree. And this is how they connect to each other. So if you're into movies, this is the perfect example of how this belongs to love and connection. You can even see it in the movie. Second one, security and stability. I think Titanic is a good example. Yes, it's about a ship hitting an iceberg. Yes, it's about Leonardo DiCaprio lying on the door, floating through the water. But in the end, it's also about the stability of the entire society, because Leonardo DiCaprio is running between third class, first class. He's in places that he doesn't belong. So the whole system of their society is not stable. So this is what this movie is about. Independence and freedom, Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously, it's not only about pirates, it's also about fighting for your freedom. And then lastly, this is pretty obvious, live your dream, self-fulfillment, Rocky 1 through 27, or how many we have now. Okay, so you see this in movies, and you also see this with brands. And this is where you all come into play to find out where in these four categories does my brand fit. Love and connection, I think a good example is Coca-Cola. Yeah. Have a Coke, drink a Coke with your friends. Why do you have names on there and so on? All this is for a sense of belonging, for a sense of community. Security and stability, this is probably the best example ever, is FedEx. Since FedEx is also a big sponsor of Hollywood movies, does anybody remember the movie with Tom Hanks where he's stranded on the, what's the name again? Castaway. So Castaway is a good example. Remember the end of Castaway? He's back home, and what happens? The FedEx guy shows up and delivers the package. It's like, you can trust this guy. Last year, I was on vacation in Texas for a week, and we were in the middle of nowhere. We were doing a road trip, and we sat at a small cafe. And there was an old couple, so grandma, grandpa, and she was asking him, what day is today? And he says, I think today is Wednesday. And she says, no, that cannot be, because I think today is Tuesday, because today the FedEx guy comes. Yeah? So this is how, when you talk about brand, how strong your brand is anchored with those two categories here. Independence and freedom. Any bikers here in the room? Nobody? Okay. So from fair enough. I have no idea about motorcycles and so on, but I would think that Harley Davidson is probably a good bike, but when you look at the technology, there are probably other bikes out there which are better, faster, stronger, more fuel efficient, something like this. But I think Harley Davidson stands for freedom like no other. It's like me and my Harley, and that's it. And last one, live your dream. I think Nike is a good example. How just do it. Yeah, Nike helps you to, realize your dreams. Great stuff. Okay, so all this you have seen how you can fit different brands into different categories, and it's also for you to think about, where does my brand fit into this? The second thing we need in every story is a hero or a main character. Now this is very important for you to remember. You as the brand are not the hero. You are not Frodo. You are not Batman. You're Robin. You're the one, your customer is the hero. And you're the one who's by his side or her side. You're supporting your customer to be the hero. But you are not the hero. You are helping them. This is important for you to understand. And also, when you do have a hero in a story, make sure, as I just said earlier, make sure it's one hero. Make sure it's not a group of heroes. That doesn't work. It's not your target group and how you think your target group looks. So I have to have, an Asian guy, a German guy, a Mexican guy. They're all heroes. No, it doesn't work like this. So one hero. And I brought one example, one video where I think it's a great story where you can see those 5 factors, which is especially focused on the hero story. So let's have a look.
I remember my first motorcycle in Montana. It was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I was a sophomore in high school. There were no Hondas. You had a Harley or you had an Indian. And the whole rite of passage as a young man was trying to start one. I was the only one in the world that thought it was worth what I paid for it. I just had an affinity for motorcycles when I was young. That's all I ever wanted to do. I had no plans to end up where I am. I had every plan to keep riding. I rode it for about 13 years till my daughter was born. And I sold this bike as we were raising that child. I knew I'd made a mistake. I always wondered, what would come if I ever found it again, but I never had much hope of that. And I had been searching on eBay for other 58 Harleys, and it didn't even cross my mind I'd get this one back. But I looked for a couple of years trying to find the right one. And then one day, 32 years, I think, from the date that I sold it, there it was. The VIN number was the same. I bid what I thought it was worth, and I didn't get it. I lost it. I thought, God, what's the chances twice like that? And a year later, it came up on eBay again, and this time I bid what it was worth to me. You never stop at a stop sign. Somebody doesn't want to tell you about the one that got away. I wish my dad hadn't sold that 57 Ford Fairlane. My grandpa had a Harley like that. God, I wish we had that. I'm the guy that got it back. I got the one. Chokes me up a little to think about it. Yeah, I got it back.
So who in this room thought it was a Harley Davidson commercial? That's what I thought when I first saw it. Yeah, so isn't this a great piece of storytelling where you can see really the different things? You can see a meaningful brand that eBay says, we will give you a second chance for items that you love. Then you have your hero at church, this one guy who is just an average guy. He's not a super spectacular guy. He's just somebody from the population. And then you have a great conflict. Recall this when he says, and it showed up on eBay and I bid what I thought it was worth and I didn't get it. That's your conflict. It was there. You could have gotten it, but you didn't get it. And then it comes up on eBay again, and then I love this, what he says, and then I bid what it was worth to me. That's great storytelling. So with this, you see how they design the story in a very good way, and here they play with this very positive emotion of pride, of owning something. Here we are, of course, in the sense of independence that we saw with Harley Davidson. So I think this is a great example of storytelling. I brought you 2 other videos to show you also a little bit the variety of things that you can do. This was now very emotional with positive emotions. Then I have another video that maybe some of you already know from one of the industries where it's most difficult probably to do storytelling, travel. Travel is something that everybody does, but it's like electricity. Nobody thinks about it. I don't think about, oh, I'm driving to Social Media Week now. It's just to get from here to the event. So this is a good example, and you will see from whom.
My name is Ratnesh. I'm originally from Mumbai. I mean, I like to call it Bombay because I grew up there. What do I remember from Bombay? Well, playing in the streets, taking the local jasmine gajras in the flower market, and my mother praying in the morning. You can move thousands of miles away, but these images, they are always with you.
I'm Alka. My full name is Alka Rani Dubey. I'm 61 years old. My son is Ratnesh. He's staying in New York. First, when he told me he wanted to go to the US, I felt very excited. But when the moment came when he was leaving India, that time I was really very nervous and quite heartbroken, I must say. Today, British Airways has given me a seat on a plane. It is for my son's favorite dish, okra paratha. They will fly it to America and surprise him in his apartment. I think this will make him come home and visit his mummy. I, like every mother does, I used to experiment with different things, putting in his tiffin box. Most of the time, the other vegetables, they will return from the school untouched. But whenever I am giving okra, it is finished. I asked him, why you like okra the most? He said, Mama, my teacher has told the child who eats okra becomes best in his mathematics. My son is progressing day by day. His dreams are getting fulfilled. And his happiness is more than what I ever want for him. When he will look at the tiffin box, first he will think from where has it come, but once he tastes the food, he will know it is made by his mummy. And I am sure he will start searching for me in his apartment. I miss him so much because when he left home, he was hardly 17 years old. And from that day, he did not return home. I miss my son.
My mom had cooked my favorite meal, and she was waiting for someone from British Airways to pick up the tiffin carrier. So they sent me. After flying from New York to Mumbai, there I was, walking to her door, smelling her cooking. It was an incredible feeling. Sometimes, even when you know what's going to happen, you cannot even imagine how it's going to be. I got the opportunity to see my mother in a way I'd never seen her before. She looked lonely. She looked like she sounds over the phone. I just wanted to run out and give her a hug.
Mommy, I'm here.
Oh, boy.
It was a great moment. It was a family moment. Even his dad was there. We all three of us sat, we talked. And I didn't ask him, when are you leaving? I said, I will not ask you today. Let this question be for tomorrow.
So what an emotional story, right? From a brand that you would have never expected. And I think British Airways did a great job of noticing here, it's not about them. It's not about what you do at the airport. It's not about the kind of food that you get, the kind of service that you get. They have noticed that their why is bringing people together. This is a great example. Then you can see all the other things we talked about. So you now saw two emotions. One more happy in the end. It's a happy end, okay. But more lets you think about how you do things and traveling and so on. And then I brought one last example that I personally find is a great one because it's fun, made me laugh at least. And it's not from Audi, it's from our colleagues at Ford. So Ford made a very cool campaign or video campaign for Valentine's Day, I think 1 or 2 years ago. And this is the result. And I'll tell you a little bit about after we watch it.
Great, how are you? How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. I just moved here.
Really?
Yeah. So you just play piano or guitar?
I play guitar too. Yeah, you ever been ziplining?
I'm not really that kind of a person.
Not that person to jump out and go crazy?
No. I'm parked in front.
Okay.
Do you want to try it with me?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a very adventurous guy. Car is awesome.
I don't really know how to drive stick.
Really?
Do you want me to drive it?
No.
Let me drive it. I'll show you what this thing can do.
So what do you like to do for fun, like on the weekend?
Go to a lot of music festivals. I like to write. Yeah, I think you might want to shift that.
Sorry.
I like to play the drums and the bass guitar.
I'm a ninja.
A what?
I'm a ninja.
I like to ride my bike. I like to exercise and work out. Go rock climbing.
It's cool.
I like to go to live theater. I'm really well-rounded, actually.
Well, you might want to shift it again.
This isn't right. I'm just gonna go up here and turn around.
Oh, yeah. Are you serious right now?
It's the wrong way.
Why are we going so fast?
So what else do you look for in a girl?
Someone that likes to party just as much as I do. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Ah! Whoa! Yeah, baby! You just whipped the shit out of this car.
I'm a professional stunt driver. And you've just been on Ford Mustang speed dating.
Ah!
Camera here.
Holy
So what do you think?
I guess you're showing me how to drive this thing, aren't you? This is like the best first date I've ever been on in my life.
Yeah, so you had the same feeling as me. That's funny, right? And what you can see here is sometimes it's really about putting your own brand in the background. Even though you see a Mustang, but for us in the automotive industry, we talk a lot about technical things. We talk about how much horsepower a car has, how fast it can drive, how much it weighs. And all this is not really necessary. You don't have, and this is true for everybody, don't just tell people about what you do, just show them. It's much better. If you tell me about all the functions of a product, it's too much for me. I gotta see it. Who has the same feeling when somebody tells you, oh, we have this, and these are my 10 selling points? I don't care. I want to see it. I want to try it, 5 days or so, and then I'll make a decision if it's relevant for me. So this is the same for all of us. Sometimes just keep your brand in the background, like you saw for the first two videos. It's really never about eBay comes up at the end, British Airways comes up at the end. You don't really see the brand. Bring your brand to the table, yes, but don't put it in somebody's face and say, look how great we are. Look how great we are. Yeah, that's boring. Okay. So after those videos, and this obviously also works for graphics, and you saw that even if you're in B2C or B2B, it doesn't really matter because you're marketing to humans. You've heard this a million times, market H to H, human to human, not like target groups like B2B. And this is the same, there are good examples of if you're a B2B company, does anybody know Will It Blend? When they have, this is a great YouTube channel. It's a company that makes blenders, so you can put your fruit in, mix it, have a smoothie or something. And they said, our blenders are so strong, that's why they're a little bit more expensive. And instead of telling you exactly this, they made a test and they made a series called Will It Blend? So they used all kinds of different things to see if, the thing would totally crush them. So they used iPhones, iPads, just threw them in, and of course it worked. So they have, tens of millions of views. These are good examples on things where those are not love brands. Blender is not so sexy or anything, but you can still do good storytelling with this. And it works for graphics as well. Just always ask yourself, what's the why? So now let's get to the other 2 points, context and community. We basically have to understand that if we have great content, as I said, that's nice, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Content itself has no economic value. What is your content worth? Nothing. If nobody sees your content, you get nothing in return. So we have to understand that the power of the brands doesn't come from us saying how great our brand is. It comes from the people talking about your brand. Your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. It's not what you tell them to say. This is why some of the claims that brands have don't even work, because your community gives them another brand that is more fitting to what they do. So this is important for us to understand. We need our community so that our content can move. We need interactions, we need shares, we need somebody to interact with our stuff. This is probably most important to understand, that content alone will not do it. And this is also what we said. This is another great quote I love, is you can't do social, you have to be social. And this is what we see a lot of times when I talk to other people, brand marketers and content marketers. A lot of people always talk about the distribution of content on social media. And this is completely not what it's about. Who knows this? Yeah? Who's guilty of somebody comes up to them and say like, oh, can you please, publish this on all our social media channels? No, I cannot, because it's not made for social media. Social media is not a distribution tool, as we talked about this, it's social media. So yes, you can have content that's based on something else, but you have to make it so that it's relevant for your people. You have to understand who is on which channel, what are they looking to do, and what are you doing there? What are you bringing to the table that will make it easier for them, that will help them, that will make them smile, and so on. If you just publish something like a press release on Facebook, don't do it. It's not going to work. And again, you have to understand that whatever you publish, for example, you are bringing your press release to Facebook, is competing with my buddies drinking beer at the beach, or my mom posting her favorite recipe on Facebook. Now here comes you with your PR piece of, press release. But what I'm saying is you do need press releases, but don't use them and take them one-to-one and copy them and bring them on social media. It doesn't work. You have to know, and maybe you have a press release and you're gonna cut it into different pieces and post it on different channels because you have different people on different channels. This is the same thing that happens when you're in the US for Thanksgiving. Yeah, what do you do on Thanksgiving? You eat turkey, a lot of turkey. And normally the turkey is so big that you don't finish the turkey. So then what do you do? The next day you have turkey sandwich, turkey soup, turkey whatever you can imagine because you have to get rid of the turkey. And this metaphor works pretty well for content marketing as well because this piece of information is our turkey and we cut it into slices and then we use it, maybe a quote on Twitter, maybe a SlideShare presentation, maybe a sound bite, or something like this. There are many people who make 7-minute videos. Why don't you make, instead of one 7-minute video, 7 1-minute videos? It's the same piece of information, just cut into slices. So all of a sudden you have 7 pieces of content, and then you can even go from this video, you make a graphic for another channel, make something for Instagram, make something for YouTube. All of a sudden you have 15 pieces of content from basically one piece of information that you use right now. It's like with the news. Yeah, everybody watches the news. So what happens? There's let's say, a terrorist attack in Paris. If they were brand marketers, they would say, there's a terrorist attack in Paris. This is what happened. And now let's move on to the next news. And the next day you never hear about this again. This is what we all do, brand marketers. We publish one piece of information and we move to the next topic. Instead, why don't we act like the news? So you have a terrorist attack in Paris. 5 hours later you have, this is what we know. This is the background. Those are the guys who did it. What do we know about them? Then let me explain to you the background of this conflict. What do they want? So you get all the different pieces. It's one piece of information, but portrayed from different angles, from different perspectives. And this is what we should be doing. So let's just look out there what other companies are doing, what TV is doing, and so on, and use our content a little bit more in this direction. So you're competing with that. And this is where I start getting angry. I'm a big sports fan. So during trade season and off season, I go to ESPN and so on all the time to check, did my favorite team get this player, yes or no? So every time I go, in between meetings, I go several times a day, I log on to the page, given the page, and here comes a big banner ad of something that is super irrelevant for me. I don't care about all this. ESPN for a long time had TVs, like this new TV. I didn't care about a TV. I have a TV. I was just looking for the information whether we now have this player on the team or not. And then what happens is, you see this here on the right, you see this very small X, and you have to hit the X, and if you don't hit it, because my fingers are too fat on this small screen, what happens, it takes you to the website. So this makes me mad because I don't want to go to the TV website, I want to go to ESPN or whatever and check out the trades. But because I go back several times, out of 20 times that I get this pop-up ad, probably 6 times or so I miss. And it takes me to the website. And you're all laughing, but to be honest, all of us were probably sitting in the office if this was our campaign, and we're looking at the conversion rates and how great this is working. We have, so many millions of impressions, and the conversion rate is great because so many people click on our banner that it is so relevant for them. And this one guy, he even came back 7 times in just 5 hours because it seems to be so relevant for him. Yeah, we're all laughing, but that's us sometimes, right? So this doesn't work. If you need a banner ad, if at all, I hate them. Make it at least something that's relevant. Target to people who care. So, number one, here's, by the way, a study for you if you're thinking about investing in banner ads. This here is Mount Everest. You're 64 times more likely to climb Mount Everest than click on a banner ad. So, who here is guilty of investing in banner ads in the last year? Okay. There are more, to be honest, but okay. So, I think you got the info. Oh, here's another one. Companies are spending billions of dollars on big billboards somewhere. But our reality is this. We're looking at our phone. Like here in Mexico, people are not even looking at the road while they drive. They're still on their phone, right? So we have to understand that we're marketing in places. We're marketing like it's 2010 or 2005 or something. We are not aware that, or we are aware, but when we jump into our suit of content marketing, we do weird stuff because we invest in billboards, we invest in banners that nobody cares about. Instead, they do other stuff that we're not investing in. So this is a good example of how much money you can spend on something that people are not even looking at. I mean, go home, there's a homework for you when you go home today. Find 5 people on the streets, and I guarantee you at least 2 or 3 of them will be looking at their phone, right? Then remember the slide. No, we have to understand that we don't live in the 80s anymore where you have 3 TV channels, no remote control, you're sitting around the TV, and I can tell you my story in 50 minutes because you have nothing else to do anyways. Yeah, it doesn't work like this. Who in here watches Netflix? Yeah, almost everybody. I watch the stuff when I want to watch the stuff. I don't watch it because it's on TV on Tuesday between 7 and 8. I watch House of Cards in one weekend. Yeah, I don't watch it every whatever Tuesday that it's on. And this is the reality that we face. Or the same thing, I mean, you're watching a movie, somebody calls you. Who's annoyed? Yeah? It annoys me. But this is the reality that we have. This is the reason why, for example, messaging is so big. That's why WhatsApp is through the roof. That's why Facebook Messenger is so big. Is because you reply at your own time. Everything is now according to your time, not according to the time that others give you. And this is important when we do content marketing. We're those guys. And we're trying to broadcast to you like we're in the 80s. Hey, look at us. You have nothing to do. Who watches commercials? Nobody. No? So this is the end of my rant on this. But I think you get the message. Market like it's 2016, not like we're 25 years back. Many people are already, I think this is where it comes from. Many people we've been in our jobs for a long time. It is something that has worked in the past. Banners got 40% click rate. But this was 10 years ago, and now it works differently. But we still say automatically, oh, we want to promote something, so let's use banner ads. What other things have we done successfully in the past? Oh, this. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. So after I'm now not so angry anymore on all these things, let's look at how can you do it. Basically, the story it's always relevant storytelling. Don't look at distribution. Don't look at the channels to distribute all this stuff. Tell your story. And by the way, did you see the British Airways video? It was like 6 minutes or something. Isn't this against any of our social media rules that we always read? Oh, your video cannot be longer than 60 seconds. Oh, this is 6 minutes. It still works because it's relevant. So what you have to do is really find out where your people are and love the 1%. Don't care about the 75 million out there that you could technically reach, but they don't care about your product. You know, start with the 45 that really care. For them, it's really relevant. Build your community around them, and your community will grow. But don't worry about we're all not the, Budweisers and so on of this world where everybody's all excited about whatever we do. No, there are small brands. You don't have to talk to millions of people. You talk to your 1%. And in the end, if you invest money in all this, invested in trust, relationships, because I can trick you into clicking, but I cannot trick you into commenting, into sharing this with your community. So the real things about community. I click on something accidentally or because that sounds cool and then I notice it's crap. But you cannot do this with a community. That you can do, but really those are the people who will defend your brand. Those are the guys who will actually buy something from you because it's relevant for them. So concentrate your marketing really on marketing to those people and not the people who don't really care. So last one, really you have to know, we talked about attention is the main thing, so you have to find out where are the eyes and ears of the people you want to talk to. Are they on Snapchat? Are they not on social media? Are they on Facebook? What's their channel? What are they looking to do? When are they online? You have to know who your community is, what they're looking for, and give them that. Not every post has to have a business relevance or a business objective. You can say, Happy Monday, or have a good weekend. That's fine. Not everything has to be, hey, check this out, and here's a link to our website where you can buy. It doesn't work like this. And the last thing, before I end, is really don't take yourself too seriously. It's not about you. So be a brand. You're competing with my buddy drinking a beer at the beach. So talk like the people talk, and don't write, this is also very important, don't write for the people approving your stuff. Write for your community. I see this so many times that people write like they would never write, and they hate it themselves, but their boss likes it this way. Your boss is not even the target group. So don't take yourself too seriously, and this is what I want to close with the last video that we did recently in our US market. To get away from all this marketing blah blah, and we do state-of-the-art technology and so on. So I want to close with this. Thank you very much.
Introducing the latest autonomous mobility innovation, the Audi Autonomous Office Chair. The Audi Autonomous Office Chair is designed and engineered for performance, intelligence, and safety. A fully rechargeable 6-kilowatt motor provides rapid acceleration when you need it. Our legendary Quattro system provides dynamic performance, even in adverse conditions. Our engineers spent thousands of hours testing the technology in a wind tunnel, ensuring maximum aerodynamic efficiency. The Audi Autonomous Office Chair syncs seamlessly to your work calendar and knows exactly when and where your next meeting is. A network of biometric sensors predicts when you'll need a coffee break, and it'll take you where you need to go before you even know you need to go. The Audi Autonomous Office Chair features supervisor avoidance technology. Utilizing facial recognition, the chair will detect and avoid your supervisor. And proprietary airbag technology helps protect the driver and the pedestrian. The all-new Audi Autonomous Office Chair. Now you're in the driver's seat.
Okay, thank you guys very much. So Paula told me we have time for one question only. But I will be around for the rest of today, so find me for coffee or one of the great Cokes here, and we can talk some more. So just one question. Do you have a microphone or something? Yeah.
Hola, 1, 2, 3. Hola. Hola, hola, hola. Hola, hola. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Hi. Okay. It was really interesting. Thank you. And I have a question. Like you said, write for what are they looking for, your audience. But can you give us like an example how you where you find it or how you find it? If you have any tools or something or ideas to do it?
So tools are obviously always a great idea, but in the end it's between people. So you have go through all the comments, do a research on your topics. So for example, there's a cool example from LinkedIn. LinkedIn did, they wanted to show people how to market on LinkedIn. So they did a search on Google on what do you find if you put in marketing on LinkedIn. And they found everything but stuff from LinkedIn because they didn't have anything on this topic. So you can think about what is it that you're trying to say. So with your product, what would help people? So for example, for cars, it's not, we don't tell them what our car can do, but something like, these are things you should be looking for when you're considering buying a new car, or for insurances, all these things. What should you be looking for? What is important? So this is number one, just common sense. Think about what you want to do, then run it through Google and see what results you get, and see if you have any of those results. If not, here's one topic you should be addressing. Number two is tools are great, but look, for example, what are the topics that you talk about on your pages? And then look at what kind of reach does each of the posts get, and most importantly, what kind of interactions do you get per post, per category? So you will see, for example, whenever we talk about insurances, let's say we talk 80% about insurances, but people only interact 2% of all the content they interact with is about insurances. So it's like something that we care a lot about, but they don't. And instead, look at what are the comments, what is specifically interesting to them, make some pie charts, and you will see, oh, the red pie chart here is much bigger than what they're actually looking for. So it's just look at all the data that you have on the channels, and find out what is the thing that interests them most. And then it's trial and error. I mean, then just go in, make this content, design it, publish it, and see what the results are. And this way you will learn. There's no secret formula to saying, oh, here's this website, and I put in who I am, and it will tell me what people are looking for. I wish we all had that. But you will have to do it manually, looking at the numbers, and really seeing who is commenting on what is your community saying. Maybe you even find some forums where people are discussing something that is related to your brand or your topic. Find out what those things are, make content, publish it, and see how it works. Yeah. So Paula says no. So maybe we meet afterwards.
Thank you so much. Vielen, vielen Dank. Jannis Rudzki-Weise, Audi Mexico. Ok, Audi México. Aquí va a haber ahora, tenemos dos ponencias ahora. ¿Quieres anunciar?
Hola.
Sí, tenemos dos bastante diferentes, así que por eso se las quiero comentar para que elijan y no se queden tan cómodos, o sí. Tenemos, por un lado, aquí vamos a tener un panel con creativos de lujo de México para discutir sobre creatividad encarada digital o off o on. Bueno, vamos a hacer esta discusión con creativos que vienen desde los dos ámbitos. Y arriba vamos a tener una sesión muy interesante también del Laboratorio de la Ciudad, en la que no sé si saben que se permitía a través de una plataforma del laboratorio dar una propuesta sobre la Constitución de la Ciudad de México. Entonces, el ejercicio que van a hacer ahora, además de mostrar esta participación ciudadana que están permitiendo a través de plataformas y de una filosofía más de acercamiento con la ciudadanía a través de la tecnología, es que presentar estos escritos que están como ganando como posibles ganadores y hacer con ustedes una estrategia de social media. Y la estrategia de social media que gane, creo que gane algo, no sé, alguna cosa chiquitita pueden ganar.